My life was sort of simple, routine. I was retired now. I would see the grandchildren on the weekdays, on the weekends. I would go shopping, but it was sort of routine. I started thinking about what if I could change my destiny? What if this wasn't the end of my story? I could take a different direction. The idea of changing it, all that was the scary part, but I'm glad I did. I had an early retirement and I wasn't sure what I was going to do next because I've spent years behind a desk, a computer, and I've always considered myself not a people person, and so I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I took a job at Fort Jackson, working as a intaker for people who were coming to the pool, registering them, and realized how much I love working with people, customer care, and talking with people. So that opened up a whole lot of new opportunities for me because I worked behind a desk for so long, and I just thought I was this invert that just didn't like to talk to people. So I started researching, and at my age, I didn't have many opportunities. The Army wouldn't take me, reserves wouldn't take me. And I found a program through Peace Corps called 50 Plus. And I said, this is perfect because I'm over 50. And this is designed specifically for me. So I did the app and was accepted. I had actually gotten 3 invites from Peace Corps. One was to a country in Africa, and my initial response was fear. I called Peace Corps and asked, well, are there any snakes? Will there be any bugs? And the recruiter told me, okay, maybe you're not ready. So about 6 months later, I did another app, and I was asked or invited to go to Liberia. And I was excited about that. I was so pumped, but I could not get my medical clearance. I have a CPAP machine, which requires electricity, and that was a problem in Africa. And I was so down, I was so disappointed, and my daughter motivated me. She said, Mom, they simply asked you to reapply. Just reapply. Then I got the invite to Ukraine, and I had never heard of Ukraine. I did some research, and I knew that I was going to be dealing with some real cold temperatures, and that I wasn't prepared for, or was terrified about. 6 feet of snow, temperatures below 0. I arrived in the spring. Beautiful, flowers everywhere. I did not anticipate that. I was there for 2 years, and that was a concern as well because I knew when I would leave, I'd be almost 60. So getting old in Ukraine was a little concerning, but the young people there, they kept me energized, and I don't feel like I aged in Ukraine at all. With Peace Corps, they keep it pretty simple. My only job was to integrate, and that's it. I was fortunate to work in a library in a division called Windows on America. We created games that they could learn English, practice their English, because the whole idea of the club was to just get them interactively communicating in English. Of English, it's amazing. Boom. And one of the other issues, because they were under Soviet for so long, they aren't very idealists as far as critical thinking or doing things a new way, because they were always taught, this is your job, you're supposed to do your job exactly the way you're told, you don't ask questions, you don't come up with new ideas. And so getting Ukrainians to think more this way was part of our purpose. This gave me a platform to really teach Ukrainians about business, about finances, about women's rights, about empowering women. Another project I was excited about was some 30-minute crafts with some at-risk girls. So one day we did sex trafficking, the next day we did good decision making, and the next day we did sexual health. So it was a great opportunity. We actually used the library psychiatrist and social worker to teach the lessons, and they in turn trained the school's social worker and psychiatrist. So to make it more sustainable, which is very important with Peace Corps with the projects that we do. But Peace Corps took great care of me, and I think that was part of the thing that comforted me the most, that I knew I was in good hands with Peace Corps. The snow got up to about 6 feet. And at first I sort of isolated myself. I'm not going out there, I'm not. But I realized that, okay, it's not going anywhere. The snow is here to stay. So you've got to get used to it. One morning, I just had this urge to build a snowman. But in Ukraine, the culture, you don't do anything that's out of the norm or make yourself look suspicious. So I suited myself and put on extra pairs of gloves and socks and went outside. So 2 hours later, I had this huge snowman built, but I could see the Ukrainians peeping out the window. Once in a while they were like, what is this American doing? I went inside, and about 15 minutes later, it was filled with children. They surrounded the snowman, they were taking selfies, and it was sort of the excitement of the neighborhood for that day. A former Peace Corps volunteer named Robin, she was in Poland, and she says, hey, my friend's gonna be out of town this weekend, why don't you come to Poland? Okay, it's Poland. She says, yeah, sure. I said, okay, I can do this. So that was my first adventure outside of Ukraine. That sort of started my adventure of traveling. From there, I went to Italy, then I went to Greece, then I went to Africa, Zanzibar. I realized that people tend to think because I've seen something, a picture of something, a photo of something, or I've seen it on TV, that's enough, but it isn't. It isn't. You've missed so much. You've missed the texture, the smell, the dimension of the scenery. It's just photos do not do it justice at all. It's nothing like being there. I had spent so much of my life surviving, taking care of children, taking care of grands, friends. I was your go-to person. You needed something, you had a problem, you always called Gail. I never had time to do something for me and me only. And doing that makes me, or has made me such a better person. I know how people say, I gotta go find myself. Well, I found myself. And now there is no next. This is just me fulfilled, me being happy. And I'm so blessed.